What's up, y'all? You're now listening to the What Now podcast. I'm Dr. Spencer Dupre, owner of Empower Chiropractic.
And I am Dr. Zach Thompson, owner of Within Chiropractic. The purpose of this podcast is to document and share the experiences of two young business owners as we open our own brick-and-mortar chiropractic practices. Join along as we discuss all of our wins, our losses, insights, and the many, many lessons we learned.
As a disclaimer, none of this is ever intended to be medical, legal, or financial advice. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the What Now podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Dr. Spencer Dupre. I'm joined by my buddy, Dr. Zach Thompson over here. He's goofing.
Who you calling buddy, pal?
Whatever that means. But anyway, welcome back to another What Now podcast episode. We're super excited to have you back. Zach, tell the people what we're talking about today.
Yeah, man. So today we're going to be diving into the concept of branding. And basically, I think when you're 6 months out, a year out, or even a couple months out from opening your own practice or doing any type of business, I think the most fun thing to do, but also something I realize is really important at the same time, it's not needed to be harped on, is your logo. And this fascination that your logo is your brand. And once you have your logo, your brand is set. I know it's something Spencer and I talked a crap ton about when we were getting ready to open and this and that. Do you hire a branding expert? Do you go have your logo done by some professional, or this person you met in undergrad and now they're doing brands and logos? Like where do you go to get your logo and branding done? And I say all that to say your logo is not your brand. Your brand is actually who you are as a person. And what you're able to offer from a value standpoint to your clients, to your patients, to your practice members. And that's really something I've noticed throughout throughout these first 3.5, 4 months being open is, yes, our logo is really important to me. But as I've watched more offices and more companies, I'm like, whoa, their logo is not the same as it used to be. And this thought and idea actually came from, I'm a big fan of Nick Bare, who created Bare Performance Supplements, BPN, might be nutrition.
He's shredded.
He is shredded. He's built an amazing company. But I threw on a YouTube after my run yesterday. I try to get in like 30 to 40 minutes of chill time post-run, get my body back in that nice rest and digest parasympathetic state before going on with my day. But I was listening to a YouTube or watching YouTube and saw their logo from 5 years ago. And it was very basic. It was not tailored to them or to his brand. But his logo was just said Bare Nutrition. And it looked like he went onto Word, typed it up, put it on a t-shirt, and that's what he went with. And they were crushing it. They didn't care. There's supplies, their value all came through from who they were, the brand he built as himself, and the logo didn't matter. And so that's where our discussion is going to go to today. Spence, if you want to chime in, what do you think about branding and logo as well as who you are as a person?
Oh man, I mean, I'm a big firm believer that your logo should just be a reflection of you, right? It's like you don't have to have the perfect logo, but and you don't have to have the perfect branding, but if you can have some branding that is coherent with who you are, cohesive with who you are, then people just get a better sense of kind of what's going on when they first interact with you. I mean, my ultimate goal is to not be like, quote, the face, quote, of like Empower Chiropractic. Like I want it to be something where we can have, multiple doctors, or I want people to in the community and that I serve to be like, this is the place that was able to be such a resource and so valuable for me versus like this guy and this guy only, right? Because like what happens when like I transition out when I'm 80 or when I hit the lottery and I retire.
This man's gonna go till he's 80. That's awesome.
Dude, I mean, we have some friends that are toggling, man, and they're 80 something years old, man. You never know.
It's true.
And I'm down for that. But
Same.
Really, it's just like, what is the message behind the team that, like, what's the attitude of our team, right? And I feel like that's like reflected in the brand, right? I mean, like you see all these sports teams and like all their logos and stuff are these like tough
Yeah.
deals, right? Like,
Mhm.
or something like that, like like, I mean, like the Bears, like logo's not a teddy bear; it's like vicious
Yeah.
bear.
It's a grizzly bear.
Um,
Rawr.
yeah. So it's just like that. I feel like it sets the tone for kind of your overall team is what your branding does. It helps to just put to words like for the lack of better term, Gen Z vibe. Like it really just sets the vibe, like what's your vibe? What's your vibe that
Yeah.
you're putting out, man?
Yeah.
Um, I feel like that's kind of what your branding does is it like sets the tone for your vibes.
Right. Right. And I think too, um, not to be personality based, right? I think he heard Spencer say he doesn't want the brand to be him, and that I hope is not what I'm conveying. It's more or less your vibe or the way in which you're able to lead your team and lead the people that come into the office, or if you're a supplement company, way to inspire people to go work out, things of that nature. It's not that it's your personality that people like, but your personality does come through while you're making your branding. And so making it cohesive and congruent and not trying to slap a pretty logo on something that is the Chicago Bears football team. That wouldn't make sense. Yes, a nice pretty logo looks really good, but I think if I could have gone back, not that I regret, but I think I would have not gotten as caught up in the logo making or in the branding, and more paid attention to creating a brand in myself and the way in which I compose myself, I guess, on social media and in the community and that such. And I think I did do that, but it's something I was like, spending a lot of time on when I would get home at night. It's like, oh, I got to tweak this. Let me check this font on the logo, or let me check, these colors and see how they line up. And it came out great, but I also think I spent too much time on it.
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, dude, I spent so much time on this deal, like spent so much time on branding, but I think it's fun. Like that was something that was fun for me. Like that's what got me really excited. And did you take your Working Genius assessment?
I've not taken it yet.
No. Well, kind of like we were talking about last week, I think it'd be really cool to have Justin on, like to do Working Genius. I took that assessment, man, and it like I took that assessment and it gave me so much more clarity. I've been more productive this week than I have like in any other week, just because like I understand like in work, like in the work setting, what my brand is and like where I fit into the office. Even though I'm like
for people listening that may not be that might not know about the Working Genius, can you give them more insight onto that?
Yeah, basically it's basically just like your Enneagram or DISC or ENFJ, whatever, Myers-Briggs, whatever you want to call it. There's all the different millions of personality tests, but I'm really interested in those things because I feel like they help me get to know myself better. And this one is like specifically about where you're strong and where you're weak in the workplace. And it's called Your Working Geniuses. Everybody has two. There's 6 total, or I think, I don't know. But everybody has 2, and it just lets you know like where your geniuses are, like where do you thrive best in work, and then what are you competent in? So like what can you do but you really don't want to, and if you do it too long it'll burn you out. And then what are your frustrations, and like it'll really burn you out. Yeah. So mine is like discernment and enablement. And so like for me to be able to intuitively judge situations, whether they're like good or bad, or make decisions based on intuition rather than data, is the discernment part that I'm really good at. And then also the enablement. So like the, for lack of a better term, empowerment of others and supporting them in their roles and their authenticity. And so like, that's what it is. And I've been trying to lean into those a lot this week. And like we were talking about off air, I've had the best week in practice that I've ever had. So
let's go, man. That's awesome. Yeah.
Anyway, by knowing those things, that's kind of what leads you down like your brand, right? Mm-hmm. It's like if I'm creating this, it's like what are the things that are involved in creating the brand? Like what is the vibe of the office, right? Like I mean, our offices are like we do similar things, But Zach and I's office are totally different. Our websites look totally different. Everything is totally different. The music we play is different. The smells that we have are different. Everything. So like, I mean, if you could see like our video, like we're both in practice, we're both working in the middle, like in between shifts, and we're dressed totally different.
Yeah. Yep.
So like for context, I'm wearing like a blue shirt, Life is Good hang time shirt. It's like the guy and his dog sit in a hammock, and it says hang time. And then Zach, tell the people, what are you wearing?
Yeah, I have on it's a printed short sleeve button down shirt with butterflies. It's got a collar, and it's pretty. I think it's a pretty dope shirt, but it is a button down, and it does have a collar, and that is what I enjoy wearing to practice, because that's my vibe. It's my vibe.
Yeah. What are some? Do you have like a work wardrobe? What is your intention when you dress to go to work?
Yeah, so I played around with this a little bit when I first started. I don't wear shoes. I think that's probably the only thing similar in our wardrobe.
I wear shoes.
All right, Spencer wears shoes. Everybody. So we're completely different. I don't wear shoes in my office, and so I want to be as professional, other than wearing shoes, if that makes sense. So when I first started, I was like, I'm just going to wear whatever I want. And I don't think and this might sound weird, but I don't think my messaging and my branding and the experience I was looking to give in the office actually came through very good when I was wearing just like jeans and a t-shirt. I don't know why, but so then I was like, oh, I'll mix it up and kind of see the different interactions. And this is the fun part, and this is why it's called practice. I like to think of it as kind of an experiment with myself, with everything going on. I started wearing slacks and a button down, and I would tuck it in with a belt, and I still wasn't wearing shoes. And that was fun for a little bit, but it didn't really change anything. And if anything came of that, I didn't like wearing it. It was too constricting. And so now every once in a while I wear a button down, a long sleeve button down. I don't tuck it in. Definitely untucked. I'm a millennial, but typically my office wardrobe, other than Fridays I'll wear a casual shirt, or just like a Henley, which for those that don't know is like it's got 3 buttons on the front, long sleeve, pretty comfortable. And I'll rock that, but it's always nicer dress pants, I guess, Lululemon or Bird Dog. Like I got Bird Dogs on right now, and no shoes with socks. So nice. That's the typical wardrobe I have. I interchange between polos and button downs. I like the button downs more, but yeah.
Yeah, and on the topic of, well, I don't know if you guys have known Zach and I, we're like as opposite as possible, which is why we work well together. We're the Shrek and Donkey combo, but yeah, yes. I mean, like for me, like I only want to wear t-shirts. Like I like a lot of Life is Good t-shirts. Like the other one I have is like this guy with a guitar and a thumbs up, and it says "Play more, worry less." And and like right now I'm wearing Mickey Mouse socks, and yesterday I wore my Monsters Inc. socks. Tomorrow I'll probably wear my Up socks. I have some goofy ones.
Big Pixar Disney guy.
Yeah, but yeah, like I mean, my vibe, like I was really looking for something like fun and inviting, and not too like professional, right? Especially with kids. I mean, like kids are like like drooling all over the place and like throwing toys and stuff, and like I didn't want to look like the stuffy guy in a collar chasing these kids. And
that makes sense.
Yeah, and I mean, people walk into my office all the time. They're like, "Oh, it's super inviting," and people call me by my first name, which is like what I want.
Yeah.
Like I want people to be a resource to someone and an authority, like where people are like, I trust what he says, but I don't feel bossed around by him. Like that's kind of like what I am going for, And so, yeah, everybody comes in and says, the office is fun and it's very comforting and it's very peaceful. And it has a sense of ease, and that's kind of what I was going for. And so I felt like collars and buttons and stuff like weren't really cohesive to that. And the days that I do wear button downs, like I have a couple of them that I like. The days that I do wear them, I feel like the energy is a lot different. That It's not as fun.
Yeah, yeah. I would say similar for me. Um, I mean, I love my music. I like my neighbor is a good. He's in my networking group, and he was one of the first people I met in Colleyville. And I remember the day I bought my speaker, I was super excited to test it out. And so I love Odessa. Odessa is one of my favorite bands. I guess if you could call them, they're EDM. I don't know if that makes them a band if there's two of them. But anyways, I was like fresh off their new album, Last Goodbye. So I'm gonna turn the speaker all the way up. Didn't really care. I was gonna play it for like maybe 30 seconds. And as soon as I turned the music all the way up, he came over. He's like, "Hey man, I like you a lot, but we got to keep the music down a little bit." And so I keep it down, and every once in a while, like Wednesdays are Worship Wednesday day, so it's all worship music. But other than that, it's Trevor Hall or Odessa or whatever it might be. But it's a little louder, um, and so it's very much a fun environment, but more of a transcendental environment, if that makes sense too. So it's very intentional music. It's never just today's top hits, but um, it is music that's fun and inviting, and I really like to make a different experience for people. I don't want them to feel like they're in a doctor's office. Um, I don't like to be called Dr. Zach. I'm starting to get used to it because that's just what people naturally say. So yeah, that's our office, and I think it's all come through my personality. Not trying to make a personality based practice, but it is what it is. And I think as the owner, it's okay for your personality to come through in your office. That's where I would differ with Michael Gerber, but he knows a lot more than me. So
Maybe. But okay, so since we're on this topic, like let's talk about a little bit of like what does it look like to develop your brand? What does it look like? Where do you start? Um, like for me, it starts with mission and vision statement. Those are the two things, and then your core values. So like, what is your? I don't know. Like, I'm sure their mission and vision statement have changed since you've opened, but and your maybe your core values. But what are those for within?
yeah, so the vision's a bit longer, and I try to have it memorized. I need to shorten it. Um, but the mission is short and sweet. The mission is to develop generational health, and I keep it like that. I'm a big fan of Ed Milet and Andy Frisella, two guys that have developed a lot of big companies, and they're big on I think we're taught to have like a 2 sentence mission statement, which just gets really confusing. I want to be able to tap into my mission and think, if I finish each day, did I get to my mission? And if I have to think through 2 sentences, then I'm not on board with it. So for me, it's develop generational health. Our vision is to build a community that focuses and realizes that health is their greatest asset to better connect not only with themselves, but with their family, their friends, and their colleagues. And then
Nice.
do you want our core values too?
Sure.
Yeah, so our core values, hyper transparent healthcare, personally tailored care, family, trust, and there's one I'm forgetting, which is bad, but it is what it is.
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. Yep. So like the mission for Empower is to align lives with creative purpose. And then our vision is to be a resource and beacon for natural family care. And core values are hope, encouragement, and connection. And so like those are the things that when designing the office and picking out things and whatever goes into that choice, right? And so like I worked with a brand designer who Caitlin's first cousin Michaela is I'm lucky enough to have that connection, and she does that for a living. And
Nice.
So we just got on a call, and I just told her those things, and she said, "All right." And I just said like, I thought I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm super talented. This is my practice. I don't need anybody else's input, and I'm going to do this all in Canva." And I sent her some stuff on Canva, and I was like, "This is kind of my ideas." And then she came back, and it was like better than anything that I could ever have imagined.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
I like using the professionals. I think that you can very much tell when someone has a Canva brand. It just feels like something is missing. Like,
I'll ask, you know my logo? Am I
yeah, it's from
Canva or
Canva.
professionally? Dang it.
Yeah. Well, I know you told me that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like if you keep it simple, then it's easier. It just kind of depends on what you want, honestly. Like
Yeah.
if, if you look
Like,
at it and you're like, this is it, and this is everything that I ever wanted it to be, then I think you
yeah.
do that. But for me, it was like, I wanted my place to be a connection and a support resource for people. And if I'm trying to do everything myself and I'm not asking for other people to include their talents into my community, then it's like I feel like I'm missing the beat.
Yeah. I think for me, what I enjoyed about making it with Canva, my sister actually helped me. There was our hands, if you have seen our logo, there was like a diamond or jewel in the middle of them. And I don't know how to Photoshop to save my life. And I asked my sister, I was like, hey, do you think you can get rid of this? She's like, yeah, it's super easy, and had it back to me in like 20 seconds. And so I felt very much not like a millennial. But, anyways, what I think can happen for a lot of people when making a logo, and Spence, I'm sure you've seen this, is it looks really aesthetically pleasing. But then when you start to look at it a bit more, you don't know like what they do, right? I'm sure you've seen plenty of logos where like I don't know why, but they're a plumber. That's what the first thing that came to mind. And you look at their logo or you look at their brand, and you can't tell. Like it looks really good, but it doesn't show that they're a plumber. And so what I really I didn't want to be, and if you live in the Metroplex, I'm sure you see this all the time, but if you drive around, just see signs that say chiropractor. And that's it.
And next to it is a spine.
Yeah, sometimes not even that, but it just says chiropractor. And Morgan, my girlfriend, and I crack up every time we see it. But I definitely didn't want that for our logo.
Like Chinese food.
Right? Like, that would be so funny. But like, I didn't want it to be that, but I also wanted it to be very clear on all of our messaging and make it very reproducible that Within Chiropractic is here at 6100 Colleyville Boulevard, Suite 130. And yeah, so that's I wanted it more simple. Our office is very simple. We give an office tour to each person that comes in their first time, and it's like this nice, not long process at all. My CBI, where I did my internship, it took like 5 minutes. It's
the place is
huge
huge
office, which a bunch of stuff going on. And now, like giving my office tour, I'm like, yeah, it's nice and simple, and people actually enjoy it quite a bit once they realize that their health is also simple, and the more complex we make it, the harder it becomes to achieve. So I guess that's the underlying theme behind all my branding as well.
Yeah. My office tour is welcome into the office. And so we'll be in here today, and that's it. I have 2 rooms, and
Nice.
It's awesome. So so how in terms of your branding, like what have people ever made comments about it, or like anything like that? Like do you feel like you people are always like, oh yeah, I like totally got this from your website, or like I got this from this or whatever? I don't know. What are some comments that people make about the office and the brand, and like how they feel about your
in regards
space?
to the office, I think with how simple it is, it creates it where it's really easy to keep clean. And to me, that's a surprising thing. Mom, I'm sure you're surprised too. But people are always like, I've even seen a couple of our Google reviews, very clean office. And I like to think our logo and our branding is very clean too. But also, a lot of people, we have balloons from our grand opening, which I don't know how they're still up. Our grand opening was like 2.5 months ago. But these balloons are still kicking, and they're all our colors. And it's a light blue. It's a pretty neutral gold color. And so it's very calming. And you could tell people as they're coming in, they're almost instantly calmer, even, crazy kids and this and that. So it's pretty awesome to see. And that's what people say when they come in. They feel not necessarily at home. I didn't go for like a vibey home office, but it's very calm, even with louder music and everything going on.
Mm.
What about you?
It's good. I have people come in the office all the time. They're like, "Oh, who did your design?" And I'm like, like they'll be like, "Who designed your office?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, me. And Yeah. Little do people know that most of the things in my office were just given to me by friends who were
Yeah.
like, "Hey, I'm moving. Do you want this?" Or like, "Yep, I'll take it."
Mhm.
And yeah, it's like really simple. People really like the plants. That's what they appreciate a lot too. They're like, "Wow, look at these plants. They're so nice." That's my favorite part. It's just a lot of life in
Mhm.
here. That I just have like some kids' toys, and the kids go crazy on that. And like a lot of things that parents tell me about the office is that they say, "Well, it seems like my kid feels safe here." They'll say
Nice.
that a lot, and it's like being. I'm next to an amazing pediatrician, like awesome, like best pediatrician in the area, and getting to like work with them and something. They're like, yeah, and like when we go into the pediatrician's office, sometimes like they know they're at the doctor's office, and
Mm.
like, and that's okay, it's like that's what the office is. It's a doctor's office, but to hear parents be like I literally had a mom saying like, well, it seems like my son feels very safe here, and so that's a good sign to me. And that
Mhm.
makes me feel like we're in the right place before like we
Right.
do any initial visit or anything like that.
Mhm.
And that's what I was going for,
Nice, man.
and like the reviews on my Google review is not saying that it's really clean, because I mean I have carpet and it's small, but it's like um, they're saying like I feel very heard, like I feel very safe. Like Spencer took a really good time to listen to me. Like I feel like this is not like a normal doctor's office, right? I feel very safe here, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Those kind of things, and so that makes me feel like our branding is on point, and people are kind of getting our message that we're trying to put across whenever we're doing that. And it's easy to go back to your brand folder that you have and be like, okay, these are the pillars of our message, and then how does that reflect into our intake forms? How does that reflect into our verbiage? How does it reflect into the music that we play? To the
Mhm.
color of these things, like that. I think that's where branding like really is so important.
Right. And I think too, on that topic is one thing I love from Dan Kennedy, the godfather of direct response marketing. He talks a lot about. He actually did a whole. Well, he's like old, so it wasn't a podcast, but it was a. They played a recording of his old coaching calls, and it was a two-part how to generate referrals. And he talked a lot about chiropractors. I think it's one of the best Dan Kennedy episodes I've listened to. We might be able to link it. That's more of a Spencer thing, so I'm just going to say stuff and see if Spencer can do it. We might be able to link it in the show notes. And I would strongly suggest listening to it after you've left us a review or given us a 5-star rating on Spotify or wherever you listen. But what he talks about is, and he talks in this episode mainly about the chiropractic offices he works with, but when someone leaves their office and they're with their friends or they're with their work colleagues or this or that, and someone asks, well, I know you've been going to the chiropractor a bit, like what's that like? That your brand is what they're going to say, right? And the way your office is operating. And so to generate referrals, you want to make sure that your branding is on point and that the feel of your office and everything is in congruency with the message you're trying to provide to the community.
Mm-hmm.
He goes into a lot more depth on it, but I just, really took that to heart when thinking about not just the adjustment, but everything else. The way Joshua, my front desk, works with people and talks on the phone, and this like every interaction becomes so much more pivotal when thinking about it from that realm, so that people are able to share your message without you having to share your message. So it's that passive marketing, if you will.
Yep. And I think that plays a lot into what Anchor Tayal was like teaching us through the business school that we took with him, is that the customer experience, the adjustment is just a step on your customer experience. And, really the adjustment, right, starts when they decide to change and come into your office. That's when the adjustment really starts, right? The physical application of quote an adjustment is just a point in that timeline, right? And so it's like, what is your customer's journey throughout all of it? And do they feel those core values, mission, and vision throughout their entire process with you? And like, if you ask them, like, what are the core values here? Like, it seems like your people should know that without you telling them,
Right.
right?
I think too, in the chiropractic office, if you think of it uh, as a retail office, which it's not, I know, but in the grand scheme of things, if you really make it micro level, the adjustment itself is the transaction of the business, right? That's what someone comes in, they get the adjustment, or that's what they think, right? and then from there they leave, and that's what they paid for. But everything else is part of the experience, and so really trying to craft an experience, and that's been a big thing on my mind that I'm really trying to dive into. I'm excited to work with Travis Stewart, making moves here in the coming weeks, and start crafting the most, I guess, the best patient experience that we could potentially offer. And so that's going to be a big theme there. But that's something that, when I'm out running or working out, or my brain does not shut off. It's a beautiful gift that God gave me, where my brain is just always thinking business. Morgan loves it, but it's just always thinking about the experience and how we can better it, what we need to take away, what we need to add, and stuff like that.
Sure. Dude, those are, I mean, that's really it, right? Your customer experience. The adjustment is just the product, right? And health is the thing that they get from your experience, but what people pay for, what makes it valuable, what makes you worth the dollars is the results, yes, but to the experience. It just makes it so much better, right?
And results are part of the experience, right?
Yeah, people are coming in for your results, and they're coming in for like the adjustment, but they stay because of their experience. They stay because they had a good experience, right? Yeah. I mean, like, how many times do you buy something? It's like, I don't know, well, just I like it, it's valuable to me, or people say like, I just had a good experience, so you should use them.
Yeah,
right.
And that's Josh and I have been talking a little bit, but in our office, when someone finishes their first corrective care plan, they are then offered a wellness plan, which is once a week or every other week, coming in to get adjusted. And I know by the time that offer comes, whether or not they're going to sign up. It's just a gut feeling, and I've been right 100% of the time. Like, I know if they're going to say yes or if they're going to say no. And it's awesome because, we're 3 months in, 4 months in, and I think we're at 18 people that have shifted from their original corrective care plan on the wellness. And the best thing is, yes, they're continuing to come in, but from a business standpoint, I know that when we get to 23 people on wellness coming in either once a week or every other week, that covers our rent. So if I know each month I'm going in with 23, which is 5 away, okay, now I know that I have covered rent, and we're going to, money can start going elsewhere. So,
Yep. That's like a big thing too. Maybe we can talk about like allocation of income later. Since I've gone through Profit First, that's been super, super helpful. Profit First for chiropractors, really great resource. Dang, I lost my train of thought now. Oh, well.
That's too bad.
Yep. Yeah. Anyway.
You have to tune in next week for his train of thought.
Sure. How to train a thought.
All right.
Oh, man.
But yeah, go ahead. You got it.
I know I do. Let me think. Like the Jimmy Neutron, like brain blast deal that he's doing, like that's what I feel like right now. But anyway, all that being said is, I don't got it. You say something.
Yeah. So that's about all we have on branding. Your logo is not everything about your brand. Your logo embodies your brand for sure. But who you are, what you're able to bring to the table, what people are able to experience, that's your brand. And that's not trying to come off as like a business expert. That's more of just what I've experienced and what Spencer and I have both experienced while opening our practices. And so it's awesome to tweak here and there the different things we're doing in the office, and the words you say, music you're playing when you're, sending out this text message versus that text message, and things of that nature. So it's been awesome to watch that come through. Super grateful for all the teachings we've had leading up to that, and continuing to learn. So stay tuned for next week. Super excited to hop back on with my good friend Spencer with his Life is Good t-shirts and see where our conversations take us. Hopefully by then he's found his train of thought.
Oh, well, I found it, actually. I was just waiting you to finish yours. But anyway, this is one of the – so you know how, like, Hormozi – well, one of the things Hormozi says is, like, you have to make someone an offer so good that they would feel stupid saying no, right? That's one of the biggest things that, like, I try to add. Like, everything that goes in the office, it's a value add. It's a value add. It's a value add. If we have this, 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 and it's all centered around chiropractic, then it's like, man, you would feel – dumb not to buy this because you get all of these things. That was my train of thought that I lost. One of the other things too is Hormozy does these like podcasts, like conversations that changed my life. And one of the conversations that I had that I'll never forget, like, you know how like sometimes you'll hear somebody say something and you just like always remember it, and you're like, that was super valuable.
Or like sometimes when someone tells you to do something for a long time and then you have to hear it from someone else to do it because they're older than the person that you were hearing it from. Sorry, that's an inside joke. That was a very direct. Only Spencer is going to understand that. Sorry.
Maybe I'll understand later. But anyway, during board reviews, one of the ladies teaching our part 1 board reviews was talking about how like essential oils, like diffusing certain essential oils while you're studying certain topics, like accesses your limbics and stuff a lot more. And so anyway, that has stuck with me a lot into like the things that go into the office, because like all of these things like trigger a memory, right? And so if you have like blue is like a psychographic color of trust and professionalism, right? And so like I have like tones of blue, right? But I also want to have like natural colors and life in the practice. So I have like plants, wood tones, those things.
Yeah. I think,
anyway,
go ahead.
One of the things that reminds me of Zach all the time, because he wears it all the time, is patchouli. And I'm like, and since Zach, you wear patchouli, bro.
I don't anymore, but yes, I used to.
Not anymore, but you used to a lot. And anyway, it seems like everyone used to wear that stuff at all of our chiropractic seminars. And so to me, like patchouli smells like chiropractic. And so I have been diffusing patchouli in the diffuser in the adjusting room. And I feel like my adjustments have been like, you know how like some days you're like, oh dude, I'm on one today. And I feel like I've been like that since, because it just brings something about you, something out of you. And so like when you have like this different music and this different, the vibe, it brings something out of the people who you're with, because they will attune to your field. That was my train of thought. And those were the things.
Yeah. I'm the same way, except with music, since I wore so much patchouli, I'm patchoulied out. But I have a like 11-hour adjusting playlist that I've been working on since probably my first year in chiropractic school. And there are songs that I would learn to adjust to, that we'd play like when we're practicing with friends or whatever. That sounds weird. But anyways, I would just play them when I was adjusting like early tries, and then they'll come on in the office and I'm like, oh, like this takes me back immediately. And then there's some songs where, you know, once I felt like I was really good at adjusting, like those songs were my hype songs. I was a big song I'm sure Spence was too. Like as an athlete, before every football game, my senior year of high school, I would have to listen to 2 songs before I went on the field. It was like the last thing I did before walking up the steps onto our field. But same thing with a couple of songs on my adjusting playlist where it's like I would have to listen to them to adjust. And it's funny to think about that now because it's not even close to the same. But when those 2 songs come on, it just drops me into my zone.
What is your go-to adjusting song? What's your in the zone adjusting song?
Is it bad if I don't know the name? No,
yeah, that's okay.
It's called "Still Waiting" by Pines. It's great. I'm not going to play it for y'all. I just want to make sure I'm getting this right. Yeah, I've Been Waiting by Pines, and it's pretty awesome. There's also this song by Tash Sultana called "Blackbird" that I really just like because Spencer hates adjusting to it.
I hate it so much,
but I think it's awesome. It's like a whole trip of a song where it's just like different rhythms and different beats, and so it's a lot of fun.
Mine is Better Than the Real Thing by Thoro. It's like a remake of something else. I don't know, but that's mine. It really gets me going. But all right, guys, thank you so much for the What Now podcast. Zach and I will stop rambling. We'll let you get on with your day. But thank you so much for listening. We'll be back next week if Dallas doesn't freeze over again for another episode of the What Now podcast. We don't know what we're going to talk about. We're going to figure it out. And we can't wait to deliver it to you because we like being honest and transparent with you guys. Thank you so much for listening and have a blessed day.
Yes, sir. Peace. See you next week. Peace.